What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 234 of Opinions May Vary. I'm your host, JR. I have my co-host with me, Alex.
Hello.
Joining us this week via the Skype, all the way out in the Seattles, I believe, is Jeff. Is it sales? I should have gotten your title before we started.
No, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I guess my official title is senior sales manager, but that does not describe what I do.
Yeah, that's how, like, when I told Alex as I came in, I think I have someone coming on, and it was, who is it? Oh, he's the
sales guy.
It says sales, but that's not where he does this other thing, and it just turned into a lot of fumbling around.
Fair enough. That sounds like my job title, fumbling around. that's a more accurate description.
But I guess the long and the short of it, if that's even the correct use of the metaphor, you're an employee at Penny Arcade.
Yes.
You are involved a lot with Penny Arcade and the PAX shows and all that. Specifically, Acquisitions Incorporated.
That is an accurate statement. All of those. I am. The best way to describe it is any time we're doing some sort of major project, I am the official cat wrangler, herder. I get the talent to do things on a timeline. Anytime we did like custom comic books, or custom comic projects, it's usually my job to produce and wrangle those. And then, the Ack Inc. is the most visible of all the projects I work on. I would be, for all intents and purposes, the producer slash stage manager, director, without actually being the film director, for everything we've done for Ack Inc. since the very beginning.
So since the podcast, or just the live show?
Since the original podcasts.
Damn.
I was... Well, see, this is where the sales overlaps, right? So, hold on. Do we need to get into my origin story a little bit?
Let's do it. We're already there.
So I've actually been in the video game industry for 22 years now. And I started out at Nintendo.
Not a bad place to start.
Yeah, I worked my way up. I started as a gameplay counselor, right? Before the internet, if you needed to figure out how to get through a game, you called this number out in Seattle, and then they went to 900 eventually, and that was me. I would help you find the hammer and Link to the Past, and worked my way up through test, and then eventually was producing in-house for them. So the title I spent the most years on would be Eternal Darkness for the GameCube, but I was working on it back when it was on the N64.
Right.
Things like that. So turns out that skill set of producing video games is very applicable to basically any project. It's making sure the key people have information. So by the time I ended up at Penny Arcade, which is a whole nother story, but I was there to help them with sales, which really wasn't my background, but I could do it. And we got an RFP, a request for proposal, from Wizards of the Coast's media agency. And they were getting ready to launch 4th edition. And they were like, we need an outside-the-box, concept. What are we going to do? And the other sales guy here, Mike Faylauer, and I grabbed Mike and Jerry and said, all right, we have this, and they want to do something weird. What do you guys want to do? And
that's what we specialize in.
Because, it wasn't the standard just, buy some advertising. It was
right.
And, the genesis came from them. They said, we should do a podcast, because Jerry still had a pretty active game he played in. Mike had never played before. and we're like, and then Scott at the time was still living down in Dallas. We can bring Scott up. He's a lapsed player. He used to play, but hasn't played in forever. Let's bring him up. And I pitched it, and that was it. They loved the concept, and yeah, ever since then, that's how I started kind of organizing it, because I applied my previous skills to the podcast, and then just kept with it every time, every incarnation since.
I know we have a frequent friend who comes on and joins us, this guy Joe. He was a big fan, huge fan of the OG Acquisitions Incorporated podcast. I'm kind of like new school. Like I kind of got into it with the live shows, and then with the recent YouTube series, which we'll get into. By the way, he meant Scott Kurtz, Alex. By the way, I don't know.
Thanks.
So I'm in the know,
You said
but
before.
Thank you for filling that in. I was neglect. I thought I was talking to people who were familiar with the property. And,
exactly.
I'm just busting your guys' chops. It's all good. It's all good.
And I remember, I went back for reference material and randomly rewatched the first episode of Penny Arcade the series, which is one of my all-time favorite things on the internet. And even in there, within 2 minutes, it's this is where we play D&D, and then there's a smash cut to just playing D&D. It's a pretty big part of the Penny Arcade thing, for lack of a better term.
Well, we're all gamers, right? That's kind of the I wouldn't say prerequisite, but I mean that's why we do what we do. Is we are the community. We are members of the gaming community. So that's why a lot of the corporate decisions we make, the first thing we ask is, how does this best serve that gaming community? Whether it's, tabletop, video, indie, AAA, whatever. And then after we ask that first question, if it's okay, we can serve it this way, then we try to figure out how we make it a business thing, as opposed to just fan service. Although we aren't above doing the occasional fan service project every now and then. But the big, deep, dark secret is I don't play D&D.
Really?
Personally. I mean, I've sat down at a couple games.
I believe you've appeared in games. And then do you die a lot? Isn't that what the...
That's a whole nother conversation. I jokingly referred to myself as twice dead Jeff at a recent panel. I've played a couple times. For me, it's more a matter of, I would like this too much, and I already have such finite resources on my time that I purposely have not joined. I've been asked several times, and I know I would have fun, but it's I've got to spend some time with the family, just a little bit.
That is some willpower.
Yeah,
because our friend, he was like, hey, I want to DM a D&D game, and I was like, D&D, that's for losers. Why don't we just play a video game? That's way cooler. And then we played, and now I'm like, yo, so when are we playing next? Are we playing? Are we playing next week?
You went out and bought a monster manual, and you went out and bought adventure books. I know you did.
Yeah, especially because literally a week from today, I'm running my first game.
There you go. So got your hooks.
It got me so good, and I've been having so much fun writing this game, and it's so basic and linear, but it's so fun.
Those are the best. Yeah, I mean, I used to play in high school. I didn't play D&D, but I played pen and paper RPGs. Sort of. We kind of made our own, combining rules from several sets. But I've become, with every passing project, become more and more familiar with it. That's where Mike Failauer steps in, the other sales guy. He could be a full-time DM, honestly, and he's he is steeped in the game and was raised on it, and that was his gateway into gaming in general. And so his responsibilities, we've broken it down really well. So he's usually the one responsible for putting the deal together, the contract, and working with Wizards of the Coast on that part. And then I always assign him, make sure the character sheets are up to date, and have all the whatever the rule changes have come in, make sure those are done.
Yep.
Make sure he preps that, and make sure we have the correct spell lists and spell cards for the guys.
And make sure that Scott knows all of his abilities.
Yeah,
he saved his ass in the latest show.
I learned after the first couple live shows that we must run some sort of practice encounter right before. That was a must-have. So after the first few live games, when I got tired of the participants getting up there and looking through their character sheets without any idea what they were doing, because it'd been so long since they played with them last, I was like, all right, I'm building it into the schedule. We're meeting, an hour and a half before curtain time, and Failhour will craft a little mini adventure that tries to take advantage of whatever the new changes are to their characters, or reinforce things we know they should be using. Usually a little bit of RP and then one combat encounter, and wraps it up, a half hour to 45 minutes right before curtain, just so that it's fresh in their minds and they can focus on the entertainment part of it as opposed to remembering what their character does.
So with that, I would find that to be, because like if it's Acquisitions Incorporated live, and that's in like the middle of PAX, so like you're setting aside time to prep for the show, but like there's so much else going on with PAX around you. It's like
the largest like video game show. Like
it's like all these guys have to take time out of like running the show and making appearances and doing stuff to play the game. But then again, as you said, like now it's fresh in their head, so they could power down for a bit and then get back into it. Whereas I'd be like, I don't know, like give it to them 4 days ahead of time.
It would be right out of their brains if I did that. It would not be good. I mean, there are exceptions, right? So we had filmed the series like 2 weeks before East. And that was, 2-day marathon sessions of playing. So I didn't run a refresher course right before this last East. Of course, some of it was because we had Mike and Pat being the DMs as opposed to Chris Perkins. Hold on. Let me go back. So that would be Patrick Rothfuss, author.
I knew that, but if you just want to let Alex
know. And Christopher Perkins, employee of Wizards of the Coast. And I don't know what his official title is over there. Like he's master of all D&D story over there is my understanding now. Who is our normal DM. We didn't run a practice before that. But yeah, most of the time I make sure to set aside a little time ahead of. And it is I think it's the single, at least in terms of attendance and viewers, it's like the single biggest visible thing we do at every PAX. Like it always fills the main theater to capacity. It's always one of the top, usually top 3 streamed events total. This last one, right? I haven't even got the numbers from Fathom for the movie theater stuff, but I'm sure it's got to be our most viewed live, and then it always does well afterwards too. When we put it online, the view numbers are always really high. So, there's a lot of attention put to it, and so we can carve out a couple hours of the guys' time out of PAX to make sure that we put on the best show we possibly can.
So it's worth it once the main show goes up because there's so much involved.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't relax. I start relaxing when everyone else is just starting to enjoy it, because once the curtain goes up, it's out of my hands. With the one exception of it going too long. So like once I get all participants on stage, I'm relaxed, I'm chilled. I just hang out backstage and just listen for anything that might go wrong, or if there's any sometimes props or things need to be brought out in the middle. And other than that, I just sit back and enjoy the show like everyone else, and I don't start worrying about it until they get close to when they're supposed to cut, depending on what's coming afterwards, making sure they stop before the hard deadline most of the time.
For the most part, ish.
For the most part.
So that kind of answers one question, because JR was telling me, he's like, yeah, he like produces Acquisitions Incorporated and like produces a show and all that. And I was like, so to what extent? Like, because you were saying stage manage, and I was like, is he like in the editing trailer, like saying, okay, camera 3, camera 2, and so
here is the key to a successful production: hire good people around you. In the past, we've had a few people be that live director, so to speak. That's someone who's calling the camera shots. This year, for the live game, and then because I watched him do it on the series, we had Van Allen, who is head of Vantage Point Productions, the folks that are doing the Automata miniseries.
Right.
And did the last few years, every year of PATV, but the first year. He used to just be the head camera guy, and then when we decided to do the series, to cut down on the editing, the post-production editing, he kind of live edited on the fly while we were filming, calling the camera shots. And he's been around the game so often, he knew it so well, and he's really good at anticipating where the reaction's going to come from and when to cut to the dice, that I was like, okay, if this thing's going out to theaters all around the country, let's hire an extra camera guy to be on stage to take your spot. Let's put you at the video mixer. And I'll stand by him and watch him, but I have complete faith in what he does, and so I don't stress about that part. For me, it's about schedule. Here, I don't mean to take your questions away. I'm just kind of I'm a talker.
Okay. Do it. Just go.
So I will
go.
just
I'm
ramble.
So entrenched in this.
No, this is you've lost like 50,000 subscribers.
You're a funny guy there, Jeff.
Yeah. Sorry, 5.
There it is.
There it is. More like it.
So my part is I'm working with WotC, and I'm learning, okay, what are their big marketing pushes? What are their themes? For example, this last year was Giants, and the year before that had something to do with the Underdark, and my brain is failing me.
Dritz showed up, didn't he?
Yeah, and then there was Rise of Tiamat. So they've got these initiatives that they're focused on, and so I will get looped in towards, for example, for next year's West, I will start getting information towards the end of this year, beginning of 2017. What they're planning for that time frame, and they'll I'll get special PDFs with secret information from Wizards of the Coast that'll kind of lay out the themes and the visuals. And then we work with a company called Lone Shark Games, and you might know them because they're also working on the Lookouts game.
Yep.
Mike Selinker, who is renowned for his puzzle designing ability, but he's got a whole staff of people that have been steeped in tabletop and RPG stuff. And I coordinate with them, and they work with a fantastic... Here we're getting several layers deep here. Another company called Czar of Happiness, run by Matt Smith. No, not the Doctor Who Matt Smith, although it's spelled the same. He does a lot of our... They'll work together and come up with set design, and
which at West last week was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so then we provide feedback based on it. And he crafts it, and then I work with him on. I love him to. He is incredible, but he always over designs for stage. It worked well now because it was camera, but I'm like, this is a stage production. You can get away with like painted cardboard, but no, everything's incredibly elaborate. He also works directly with. So I don't know the specific adventure, and I don't know the setting that the adventure's in. So he works directly with Chris Perkins on creating whatever the table diorama is.
Right.
And I don't usually see that until maybe a week before, maybe a couple days before, depending on the scope. So that's kind of a secret to me. But I know the area. Like, I knew we were going to be doing Sky Giant stuff.
Right.
So I knew the general theme to go with. So yeah, that's all plotted out months and months in advance. I'm checking on schedules and resources and things of that nature, and then coordinating with the talent, make sure they can all be where they need to be when they need to be there. And this year was the added wrinkle of figuring out how to stream things to movie theaters. That was new. I had not done that before. That required some meetings.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then that's basically the the timeline. So it's not like a full-time job for 6 months, but it's off and on for 8 to 12 months, depending on how early we get the stuff, and with a few moments of crunch.
And that's just one 2.5 to 3 hour block of PAX.
Yep. That's right. That's why we were talking a little in the pre-show, right, when we were getting our levels. I was like, man, I don't want to work on the rest of PAX. That is too much work. That is way too many things being juggled. The other big thing I do, I don't know if you guys have been involved in the penny arcade, the pin trading stuff that goes on there.
They hooked me at East last year. Yep, they got me.
Welcome.
I had avoided it. I'd stayed away, and then they released the pins that had the comic panels.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, are you serious? Now I need all of them.
So, so a lot of my job, doing sales, is working with the exhibitors who want to make pins.
Yep.
And coordinating with them and getting all those timelines set up and delivering the pins to them and working with them how they're going to distribute and all that fun stuff. So that's the other big thing I do at PAX. I moderate a ton of panels. As you can tell, I do like to talk, as I mentioned. So getting up in front of a room full of people to talk about whatever needs moderation is second nature to me. And so, I'll do I don't know, 3 to 4 panels every PAX as well.
Was this past weekend, was that the first time you guys had done the Acquisitions Incorporated panel?
Yeah, the cast panel? Was Wizards of the Coast said, hey, we should do this. And I went, okay. And
yes.
Well, that's where my producing came in. It had been submitted, and then no one had followed up with any of the talent to make sure they were available. And I'm like, all right, well, let's actually make sure this happens. And so, we got it and made sure everyone's schedule worked. And then I was talking to Chris, and I'm like, so Chris, you're the DM. Do you also want to run this panel? He said, no, I'd rather just take questions. So I stepped up. And I mean, honestly, it was mostly Q&A from the audience anyway. So that's all that needs is, a little bit of rephrasing of questions where appropriate.
Right.
People get nervous when they get to the mic.
Jeff was harsh, not harsh, but Jeff was stern with it too, because it's no, we don't have time for this. Keep going. We're next question, please.
Yeah, well, all those people in line. Plus, part of me's got to protect the talent from themselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's funny because I don't think a lot of people realize it is a marketing. It's marketing. Acquisitions Incorporated is a giant advertisement. Now, it's great content, but it is a partnership with Wizards of the Coast to promote Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
So we don't have, full control of it. And I want to make sure the client's happy with the end product by the end. If the guys go up there and start, and it happens all the time, they start making Pathfinder jokes and shit. But,
or they start mispronouncing
okay. But if they really start, I gotta rein them in a little bit.
Wait, so it's not Drizzit?
No, they made it naughty.
Gotcha.
What other word has 2 Z's? There you go. You got it. Go back and watch the I think it was PAX East of this past year when Chris Perkins, when he was at the table instead of DMing, he was playing as Dritz.
Oh, okay.
Who's apparently super OP. I've never read the books.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing.
But apparently he's crazy, the greatest.
Yeah. I mean, the man has entire books just based on him.
He lost all of his weapons, though, at least in the campaign.
He had special knives.
Yeah, at least in the East game.
So you've talked about so much stuff where I have.
Sorry, I
have so many follow-ups.
It's fantastic. I'm just this shows a lot of Alex nodding and smiling and saying okay, and chuckling.
Welcome to the Jeff podcast. Our guests today are JR and Alex.
It's fantastic. So I've just been getting buried. There's
all right.
so
in
much,
the best way.
There's so much cool stuff.
Don't get us wrong.
It's great.
Ask me
great.
one more follow-up, and I'll generate 5 more for you. My answer.
So at first when you were talking about getting make sure the player sheets are correct and they know what their power set are, but then if Wizards of the Coast is sending what the next play manual is, or what the idea, the theme for the campaign, I would think that should make it a bit easier. Because there's been times where, like, I want to look up, a power set or new feature for my character, and I get lost because we're playing 4th edition, and then I only find stuff for, like, 3.5, and I'm like, no, this won't work. I need the 4th edition stuff. And then Joe's like, oh, 5th edition just came out, so the generator doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like,
that's why I've got a guy that handles that stuff. That's thank God for Mr. Failhour and his deep, intricate knowledge. I mean, like his regular game, his weekly game included, WotC employees who helped design the editions. So he always seems to have the latest super secret PDF of whatever the new rules are. And it's not to say that the guys don't generate their characters. I mean, they do, but they get fine-tuned by Mr. Failhour, making sure they're all up to speed. I have zero visibility into that. And it's funny, we had an exchange just this last as I'm preparing, and he's packing up the character sheets and looking them over. I'm like, hey, can you double check these while I'm getting them all together? And he starts going off, and he's like, it's really hard for me not to just start going on about all the intricacies of the powers and everything. And I was like, I appreciate that you don't, at least with me, because for me, I don't need that to do my job well. But in fact, I kind of enjoy when the guys fumble with their characters on stage, as long as they do it in a humorous way and not in an action-stopping way. So
it's so, like, I see a lot of myself or my play in the way that Scott plays as Binwin Bronzebottom. He's first of all, he uses a lot of axes, which I'm a big fan of. I believe my character has 3 battle axes right now, I think. But it's a lot of like a lot of the role playing tends to rest on like Patrick Rothfuss and Jerry. Like I say this as my character. This is what, and Scott's just like, okay, what can I kill? I'm gonna kill that, and then I'm gonna kill that.
But he always does it as in character too.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a like this last East game when there was treasure in the gelatinous cube, and he just freaking reached into it. And I'm like, oh, okay, look, I don't play. I know that's dumb. But it's what Binwin would have done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it creates this whole side narrative of, well, how do we get Binwin out of the cube?
He actually, and then Binwin died for like a hot second.
I can't remember. He's died a couple times now.
Oh, yeah, right.
His most recent death here after the series is the one that stands out the most.
Yep.
But yeah, they've all. Thank God Perkins plays fast and loose with his own rules, because I think the team should have been TPK'd several times over the years.
Yeah.
And
that's Total Party Kill.
Yeah.
I know that one. I know Total Party Kill.
He's stern but fair. That Chris Perkins.
He serves the entertainment, which is my goal as well.
One thing that I really dig, especially about because having never made it to one of the live shows, I watch it on Twitch at home. You always see, first of all, it's for the most part, the chat is really kept mostly polite, which is really nice in an age of so many different chats on Twitch, just vile.
Yeah.
Vile places. But you also see I think I saw up to 3 different PAX accounts all interacting with fans and like commenting on like, yes, that was amazing, something like that. Like it's that fan interaction that just takes it that one. You don't have to do that. You've already packed the theater. You've already and the theater at PAX West is enormous. Like
it's normally the Seattle Symphony Hall. It's multi-thousand seat, 3 balconied, very elegant theater. It's pretty overwhelming to stand on stage and turn around and look. But yeah, going back to your Twitch, your comment. The great thing is that everyone loves the show, right? And so they're happy to work on it. So the folks that are moderating those Twitch streams, they're backstage making sure it all goes. They end up loving it. Even the stagehands, right? They see these are stagehands not just for PAX, but for all the shows that come through.
Right.
Man, whenever I come back, they all remember the D&D show. They all remember it, and they always talk about how much fun it is and how different it is. And, the best example I have is like my brother is a bit of a gamer. He's never touched D&D, though. He's never been a tabletop guy. And he came to the very first live game we did and sat down and watched. He says, I had no idea what the rules were, how they playing, but that was about the funniest 2 hours I've ever had in my life.
It's so good.
And I'm like, you know what? That sums it up so well. Is you don't have to understand the game to appreciate it, but it makes you want to start. If they're having this much fun, there's got to be something there, right? So immediately you want to get out and start playing. So that means we've done our job. We're selling D&D and we're providing entertainment.
There was one moment in the most recent one from last week. I was watching the rebroadcast on YouTube earlier this morning. It was at the very end. So spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. Viari stabs with the apocalypse dagger and everything blows up. And Perkins is like, okay, now you have to make saving throws because it's an apocalypse dagger, and it's kind of like a nuke almost.
Yeah,
and everyone
he critted with the apocalypse dagger. Come on, man! Couldn't just roll a 19 there. You had to hit the 20.
The one time.
Yeah.
So like, he points to Scott and he's like, okay, you're good, and then he goes to Mike, okay, you're good. He goes to Jerry, okay, you're good, and then like. Everything, and then it points, and it's the perfect. You mentioned camera cuts earlier too. Yeah. It was the perfect camera cut because like it cuts to Patrick Rothfuss, and he's just there like with his head in his hand, and like you can't see his face. And then it cuts to the die, which was like a 4 or something like that. And he ended up losing his arm.
I was standing back there when the Zone of Truth spell was cast, and Scott was like, "I've always had a thing for dragons," and Van does this like. Focus fade from Scott to the dragon mini as like showing this connection, and I just stood there and went, "You're really fucking proud of yourself, aren't you?" And he just smiles at me. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's not just improv with the actors. There's improv with the tech, and that's what I love. Like the green flame, that was
I just want to be a part of a green flame chant.
Yeah, it was improv from the audience, and then the lighting guy at the first time was like, "Oh, I can bring up the green lights."
No
Boom.
shit, really?
So everyone gets into it, and I think that's what makes it so special. Is it becomes communal.
Now there's a shirt you can buy too.
So the boy like JR and Joe had they would talk about it, and at one point I looked it up and I saw like one of the earliest ones because at that one Chris Perkins was like, "Oh, by the way, I want everyone to say green flame when we talk about the what color the flame is." And then, like, I don't know how many years have gone by, but Jared and Joe would talk about it some more, and they go, yeah, there's times where he forgets about it, and he says green flame, and the crowd yells. And he's like...
he'll just say something about fire or flame. And then the whole audience goes green flame. Like, the first time the audience did that back...
scares him.
He was startled. It was very fun to watch, and my jaw just hits the floor. It's so much fun. Honestly, that's the best part about being part of Hack Inc. It's just... we were talking a little bit about the Twitch commentary and things, and there's certain internet dialogue, right? Ranks in terms of civility, and I put YouTube comments probably real close to the bottom, right above 4chan. Oh, now I'm going to get mad. I'm going to get those people mad. I should be. You're going to
piss off the dark side of the internet.
4chan is very interesting. But what I see with the Hack Inc. stuff is just the overwhelmingly positive stuff. I mean, it's that, and then the rules lawyers going, well, really, they should have, been killed by this role or whatever. But whatever, that's fine. They can live in that world too. I'm okay with that. But just the overwhelmingly positiveness that people have about it, and you don't see a lot of stuff like that on the internet anymore. And so it's fun to be a part of that. And
even like because there's a lot of playful banter. Obviously, but like they're pretty brutal to Patrick with his books because everyone's anticipating his newest book.
Okay,
and so I've learned I will never ever again bother an author because there's been a few times I've been out with him in public, and he can't go more than 25, 30 seconds without somebody thinking they're so damn funny to get him about his book. And so I just kind of I've learned, all right, I'm not going to be that guy anymore. I will never bother creative about providing more of what I like. I will let them do it on their own time. But among friends at a table, even though it's in front of an audience, it's all fair game.
It's so good.
Yeah, they'll harass everybody about everything up there.
I gotta ask about, I didn't even realize that it happened at East this year. I guess I just didn't catch the very end of it, but I did witness it at the most current show when Jerry started going into like the spoken word rap.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this amazing? And then Chris Stroud comes out, who that man is one of the funniest people I've ever seen on the internet.
He is.
He's like painfully funny.
Yeah, he is. He is one of my humor heroes as well. And
like he comes out like in the outfit, and they're just going back and forth about like essentially like they're trying to recruit each other. And was that like, did people know about that, or was Jerry like, hey, I got a thing, if you could just let me do it at the end?
All right, so
yes,
the East one, he told me he was going to do a little something at the end, and I had no idea what it was. And that was one of the things we'd been working a little bit on. We needed something, a lot of times it was like, oh, and the adventure is done. All right, everyone stand up. Applause. We're
Thanks,
done.
bye.
He wanted to figure out a way to end it on a little stronger note, I think. And so I'm like, okay. And so I prepped the team. I said, okay, Jerry's going to do something, so prepare the spot, whatever. And so he told me he was going to do it again for West. And then I think it was Saturday night. So the show was Sunday night. Saturday night, I happened to be in a panel with him where he was doing some Q&A, and he mentioned there was a special guest at the end for his rap. And I went, oh, really? Okay.
That's news.
That's good to know. And so I managed to pull him aside and talk to him for a little bit and find out that it was Chris. And so then I coordinated with Chris. I go, okay, you don't need to be here for the whole thing, but they usually wrap up between now and then. If you could show up here. And then I worked with the audio guy. Said, "Okay, we're going to need 2 mics. Let's cut the lavs, the ones that mount on their heads, and let's go to 2 wireless and coordinate things that way." And that's true with any project. You gotta build some flexibility in to adapt when you need to.
If you haven't seen it, like go back and watch it. It blew like.
Yeah, it was very. It was a back and forth. It was a sales call in rap form in a medieval setting. So, you don't see those every day. It's an unusual premise.
It was also kind of a tease because, like, here I am thinking, I'm sitting at home thinking, oh my God, Chris is joining the game. Like, this is Chris. He's now going to be like, because there's been a lot of special guests. Like because there was Wil Wheaton used to be a part of it.
And then Morgan, it was Pat, and then Morgan, and then Pat again.
Right.
Those are the interns we've had. The problem is they're all great. What we need to do is, build into the adventure that we kill off a celebrity intern, so that we can just bring a new celebrity on without hurt feelings.
Right.
Just churn through them.
It's not just waiting in the wings.
Yeah. It's I'd love to. The problem is, right, especially for live. The more players, the longer the combat is, the longer everything is. Everyone needs their moments, and it just overcomplicates. So we found 4 is pretty much the sweet spot. Not to say we're not adverse to changing things up for an encounter or things, but for the bulk of the show, I think 4 is sweet. And then I'd love to have Morgan back. I'd love to have Will back, but the chemistry with Patrick is so good.
He's incredible.
He's so good, especially with Jerry.
Yep.
Because I always, even down to positioning them at the table, that was a thought out thing. Like I know that Scott and Mike do well together, and so I wanted to keep them on one side of the table.
Even Patrick as DM, like it was like the organized chaos, and it worked so well.
Yeah,
it was strange having Mike and Jerry on the same side of the table, but it still worked. It couldn't be avoided. Just because of blocking for who's doing the adventure and who's getting up. We didn't want to overcomplicate it, so we just had them replace whoever was up first. But yeah, like I make sure all their stuff's set in the direction they want to set. And now I think they know that. I mean, like even on the when we did the series, right? As like I didn't even mix it up. We just made sure everyone's in their designated spots. And you mentioned that was just a 2-day period, the series.
Yeah, so we filmed about, I want to say 6 hours over 2 days, or 6 hours one day, 6 hours day two. We weren't sure how much content we were going to get, and we didn't want to burn them out either. But yeah, that was 2 days worth of content. We didn't actually have to cut out that much, if anything. The guys have gotten really good at. In the old days with the old podcasts, they used to go off on really crazy tangents, and we'd have to edit that stuff out. And you guys might be familiar with that. And so but with the video, man, it's all the content was really good. We only had to maybe cut out a few dead pauses and some text stuff, but most of the content was there. And I think if you add up all the timestamps, it's a lot of hours.
Yeah. It's 12 parts.
It's 12 parts. The last 2 episodes are well over an hour.
Yeah, I just watched episode 12 this morning before I watched, because when I was watching the live show from West, I came in like an hour in because I had to work. But like I could catch up on the beginning part and also see like how they got there, because the series tied into the live show.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that was always the plan, is to lead into this epic final at the live show, and I think it worked. Hopefully people followed us on the whole journey, and for those who didn't, maybe it piqued them enough they want to go back and see the series rather than just the fantastic animated recap.
Which, oh my god, thank you for bringing that up. Those are like one of the greatest things.
You know what? It's we've talked about Chris before. I give him very little direction. I might brainstorm a little bit with him on like genres to try to spoof that fit whatever we did, because I'll give him a briefing of kind of what happened in the previous adventure, but give him assets. Whether he's got podcast versions of it to listen to or whatever, for him to listen to as he thinks about things. But 99.9% of that is all him, and it's great. This goes back to what I said about not having to worry about hiring good people. He gives me great stuff, and maybe a couple tweaks before it goes final, but never more than 1 or 2. And it's so funny. Oh my gosh, we almost a lot of times when I get the first draft, it's like a company event. I go put it on the big TV in our lobby and gather everyone around, because everyone wants to see it. Everyone's eagerly anticipating it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the way to get. I use it at least for East, because we're conveniently located, like 90 minutes outside of Boston. I use it as like the hype up. Like I'll message because typically I'll go to East with our friend Joe and our friend Colin, a regular guest host and all that. And it's like, oh my god, they released like the thing. Like we haven't seen the live show yet, but like, can you just watch this, because it means that East is almost here.
Yeah. We try to. Wizards of the Coast likes to get those animated intros out like a week or 2 early to try to build up that hype. Right? Yeah, for them, they want as many eyeballs on the game as possible. I mean, we do too, but, releasing it online helps hopefully get people's awareness for those who can't be there live, because PAX sells out, to watch on the streams.
With doing shows and like knowing you're essentially performing for an audience, can you tell if the guys are being difficult players or if they're just goofing around? Because like running a game, it's like I just need to convince my players to turn left, and they have to just go left, and the player's like, "What's to my right?" It's like, "It's a wall. I'm going to smash down the wall." It's like, you could just go left, and it's like, so now the game is just what you have planned is completely thrown off.
Thank God I don't have to deal with that.
You have to interrogate the guy. We just killed him.
I think thank God we have a DM of Perkins' skill and ability, and his ability to adapt to whatever was supposed to be left is now behind that wall, right? Like he's so good at just mixing it up on the fly. Because I know the guys try to be difficult, but he is so good at still hitting his beats that he wants to be, and he's gotten a lot better at it. If you look over the years, I think the best example of that is actually the game that Patrick did, where he thought he built his to be modular with all the different rooms, and some of the rooms he thought would be very fast ended up taking forever because the guys, did not do things according the way the DM thought they would.
Right.
And
the catchphrases were so good.
Yeah,
they had to come up with catchphrases for one of the testing room.
Okay,
it was like reminiscent of Portal almost. Like it was like testing.
Yeah.
And Jerry's involved throwing a scarecrow. And it's it lands with a very soft, but he's trying to make it super dramatic. It was so good.
Yeah. So I mean that's all Christopher and his prep, and honestly we feel like he is the fifth team member, and we'd have a really hard time doing the game without him. No matter what incarnation AI takes, it's hard to imagine him not involved. So.
If he's ever been annoyed or frustrated with the way that the guy, he's never really shown it. He just goes right with it, or he'll just have a dragon kill him. It's just
yeah. You can tell there's a couple times he's out for blood. You can feel the tension change.
I think it was East 2 years ago. He just slaughtered the whole party.
The dragon cultists. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Just and then he asked Mike. He's like, "Do you have any last words?" And some guy from the crowd yells out, "Is this your card?" It was the funniest thing.
There's and that one. I was getting nervous backstage. I'm like, what is going on? And then I realized, he's doing the JRPG boss you can't beat.
Yep.
Come back, everything's fine. Leave with one guy with one hit point, and so that's fine. This last for the series, I didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Yeah, they were split up. They were dead. It was
a mess. And there was at one point. So I'm backstage with Van, and I'm watching on the monitors. I got my headphones on, and we actually filmed that in Faylauer's basement because, of course, being the D&D guy he has a basement that naturally looks like that set. So yeah, the only thing we had to bring in was this table. All the costumes and the wood fixture, everything in the back. That's all Faylauer owns. All that stuff.
I thought that was a sound stage. Nope, and you guys just built that
man cave basement.
That's incredible.
So we had all the wires running out of the room into a family room area where we had these tables set up and things. And I'm trying to be quiet, and then the white dragon Isohedrus starts going in on the party, and I think it was one of the times when because Viari died and got revived at one point, if I remember correctly. One of the I couldn't help myself. I audibly exclaimed no, really loud, and I'm getting shushed by the crew, and I'm like, oh, thank God that didn't make it in the final recording, because I was just like, what is happening? The tension, just you could feel it in the room, even outside, where it's just like, oh my gosh, this got serious. This stopped being, and I think that's what's great is because the mood and atmosphere will change so fluid between funny and whatever, and then the intense party combat moments or whatever. It really does a good job of showing all the aspects of what the game has to offer.
It's intense too because Perkins he doesn't hold back on the damage. Listen to me calling him Perkins. Chris Perkins. We've played games where, if my character we play 4th editions. I don't know if bloody is still a thing in 5th edition, but when we get bloodied, it's oh my God, I'm bloodied. I only have half my hit points.
Yeah.
And then like it's very frequent in the Acquisitions Incorporated games, like where it's like I have 1 hit point.
Yeah,
like,
they're down to single digits. It's pretty crazy. I'm glad just simply for the merchandising opportunities that he's not actually killed anyone permanently yet. And
got
the nice
to
thing
release
about
the rest of the
narrative,
coins.
right? Yeah, the nice thing about the narrative, right, is even when Aelfel was technically dead, you know, our first live game was bringing him back from hell, right? So there's always a narrative hook around it, but it's enough to feel like the tension is real.
I got pretty like at the end of the series, like when Binwin, because Binwin, I can't remember if he got killed and then revived and then killed again. I think
he was down to he'd done the saving throws, right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
He had failed it twice. I remember because I looked at his character sheet. Yeah, so he had failed his first 2 saving throws, and so the third one was going to be a big deal. But they ended up being able to retreat and climb, or his body being dragged up the chimney before that. But I found out see, this is where since I'm not into the rules, apparently he should have been dead because there was some sort of AOE the dragon should have done that would have caused him to lose a saving throw, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't need that.
We can play loose and fast with the rules.
You lost me on that one. AOE.
AOE. Oh, sorry. Area of effect. That's from my WoW days. That's how I know that term.
It's also
any spell that does like a blast radius type thing.
Blast.
So.
I know blast.
It's like my dragon breath, you know.
Yeah.
You know, my
sorry. I only know these terms because of my when I was addicted to that Worlds of Warcraft thing.
It's frequent in Hearthstone a lot too. Like you see the people use the term AOE a lot, and I know I never knew actually what it meant, like the initials.
Yeah,
I knew what they implied by it, and I was like, oh right, yeah, AOE, totally.
You just went along for it. You didn't want to be the guy that goes, excuse me, what does this mean? It's okay to ask those questions.
I played HeroClix for about, I think, maybe 12 years. And so I would say, like, oh, the character uses Pulse Wave. And they're like, what's Pulse Wave like? And I was like, it's like the giant anime bomb that just keeps getting bigger. You know, it goes out until it hits about 5 squares, and then that's it. So if you're within 5, you might be dead.
So what's I mean, I don't even know how. Like, is there like something that you would want to do with Inc. Acquisitions Incorporated that hasn't been done yet? Do you have like that you can even talk about? I don't know if that's like super secret confidential.
That's a good question. There's all sorts of conversations going on about what we can do with the future of Inc. here. There's since you just got into pins, there's a blind box set of Acquisition Inc. pins based on Chris's animation style coming out soon. I think there's 12 or 14 different pin designs. So that's some fun, cool merch that's coming out. But in terms of the show itself, we've kind of. I don't know. I mean, I'd definitely like to do a season 2. We gotta figure out how to make it work, because turns out filming a show with real production values is goddamned expensive.
Yeah, who knows?
So we kind of did the first one as a giant test, and we're super glad the fans liked it. But we'll need to figure out a way to fund that one way or another. If we want to do a season 2, we can't just keep doing it because people like it. I'd love to figure out maybe some sort of one-off outside of PAX, like a traveling theater production sort of thing.
Right.
Like a Woodstock, or kind of they do, where you can. There's nothing to stop us from renting a theater and putting on a production outside of the PAX, except that there are 4 PAXs every year, so it keeps us kind of busy from planning ancillary events. But yeah, in my dream, I'd love, and Chris Perkins has talked about, it'd be awesome to do an animated series with Chris. 2 different Chris's. Chris Perkins has talked about doing an animated series with Chris Stroud. I'd love to figure out a way. I mean, it's a lot of resources to animate, even with the Flash animation that Chris does, where it's kind of like a stop motion animation style, but it's still a ton of resources to draw all that stuff and do it. And the guys aren't really voice artists; like they've done a little bit of voice work, but that's not really their forte. So, would we hire someone else to do the voices to do an animation? Like, there's a lot of unknowns out there, but I think a weekly 20-minute Ack Inc. adventure cartoon in the style that Chris does would be that would be so amazing. Just from a spectator's point. Just some ideas kicking around. I probably revealed too much.
If you need, we can bleep.
If my line goes silent, that means they hit me with a dart.
They've been listening in the whole time.
And it's although you just hear the tone from my
Skype goes dead.
Has there ever been debate between using like the 3D maps and models that you guys have at the last show compared to doing like the interactive screened tabletop?
Right.
I haven't explored back. You talk like is it Rooster Teeth that's doing the one that's
like a touch screen tabletop?
Like the old, was it the Surface, the table Surface?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not averse to it. I think it'd be cool. One hasn't fallen into our laps.
Hint.
It's if someone had it and could create the assets we'd need for it at a reasonable budget level, I'd be all for it. But it's.
For now, I mean, that beautiful... this is the most non-question ever. It's not even a question, really. The table. That table is amazing. And it's just... it's like 2 pieces of wood or something. But it has, like, the look... Oh.
The table? Oh, my gosh. So Faylauer... Mike Faylauer and a friend of ours named Lane Downtree, if I pronounce it correctly. He's going to get mad if he listens. We realized that for sightline purposes, normal tables did not work for live shows.
Right.
And so I think it was the 3rd live game. I was like, F it, we're going to build our own. Make it a hex, so it's flared with the point being the DM, and then have it flare out so that we could get decent sight lines from the edges. And yeah, they see that's part of my job, right? This is the non-glorious part. Before and after every show, I have my portable screwdriver and socket wrench set, and I have the little hardware box that goes with me, and I put that table together and take it apart. I know it very well.
Like I said, non-question. But
yeah.
Hey, someday that table will fetch a lot of money at Child's Play or something.
Someday. Yeah. So yeah, and what's fun the last couple of years for the West game is the Czar Happiness group has built these fantastic facades to put in front of it.
Right.
That represent the setting of wherever it is. So this year it was like this cool stone castle facade, and the year before that it was rocks, the stalagmite type formations.
Yep. Because they were like down in the Underdark, I believe.
Yep. And then we got to get the big AI sigil on the front. Got to have branding.
Yep.
Wouldn't be AI without branding.
Which you can buy all the AI merch at, I believe, is TableTitans.com? Is that where it's?
Yeah, TableTitans.com. They got a whole merch subsection. They got a bunch of cool new shirts. And I think they just did a polo plus the employee manuals you might see on the table.
Yep.
That the guys used as dice boxes as well this year. Thank God I got him finally after all these years to roll in a designated spot. God, because that's half the problem with the camera coverage is you just don't know where the dice is going to end up. So they'd been fighting me for years, and finally I'm like, you know what? Just roll in the box. We'll make this work.
But then, and rolls outside of the box are bricked. Like, they don't count.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
so it's a good excuse to
only
re-roll.
if they're not a good number, right? Like, they wouldn't have been calling that shit had they hit a 20.
Oh, I think there was at least once where they're like, oh no, I rolled here. It's an 18.
Yeah.
When the next roll is outside the box. Wow, who was
Jack dice as they call it?
Yeah, that's what it was. I went to bricked, but hey, who cares?
I know what you meant.
But yeah, if you can check out the show, it's so good. And Penn Arcade currently has a Kickstarter going on, or is it not Penn
for Lookouts.
Yeah.
So Mike Krahulik, a.k.a. Jim Dark Magic, has been working on a board game, tabletop/RPG elements based on our Thornwatch Lookouts Ironwood world, which is, I think, a comic. It was like a one-shot comic created way back in 2009, and has expanded this world. It's incredibly rich and deep. We've done a few stories in it, and some comic stuff, and then some written word. And Jerry's supposed to be working on a novel about it. But yeah, we partnered up with Lone Shark Games to kickstart it. It's basically all just needs to be produced. It's all been workshopped and ready to go, and that's up now. I guess that's what I'm supposed to do on podcasts, right? Is promote things and
it's
placement.
It's one of our favorite things to do, is to let other people talk about their stuff, because it's more interesting than us. So, but from what
don't say that.
last I checked, the goal has been shattered.
Yeah, so they did the launch at PAX thing, right? Like right in the middle of the panel.
Yeah.
So it was funded. Now it's just a matter of getting some really cool stretch goal stuff the guys have planned, and more rewards, and those will be trickling out here over the length of the rest of the Kickstarter time.
So the next show is Australia?
Oh, yes. PAX Oz, early November. Thanks for reminding me.
Hey, no problem.
I thought I had some respite, but no. Yeah, PAX Oz. No ACK Inc. currently planned for that. It's too soon. We won't be able to make it. But we're always, if you guys want more ACK Inc., that would be Acquisitions Incorporated, abbreviated, because those are two long words. Mm-hmm. Let Wizards of the Coast know, tweet at them. Tell them how you bought the player's handbook because you wanted to start a local game after watching. All that stuff matters.
Right.
And and really that's, Wizards of the Coast, the more information they have on how effective this is, the more opportunities we'll get to do cool stuff with it. So, don't be a pest about it, but,
too late.
Send them a note, send them an email, send them a tweet, just let them know. And, Chris Perkins is very active on Twitter and is always answering people's questions, about rules or whatever, or behind-the-scenes stuff. And, let him know. And it matters, and it will help convince those who hold the purse strings that, maybe we can start bringing this to Australia or South, and or more things like the series, to give you guys more of what hopefully you like.
It is amazing how, as a game itself, it keeps sucking you in more and more and more. Because, I'm having fun doing this, but can I do it better? And so then, I'm going to get new dice. I found some really hot dice that I want, so I'm going to get those. And then it's JR, as a gift, bought me a Wormwood dice box.
Yep.
It's this really... They were at PAX a while ago. And it's this really nice, wooden box.
They made the box for the watch, I believe.
Oh.
For the watch competition, every... I don't know if it's an every PAX thing now, but, I believe Wormwood Gaming made the...
Yeah, I'm not sure who made the box for that. But Elderwood is the partners who did the manual, the employee manual for us. And we had some Hex boxes on a year ago, or the last two live shows. And Elderwood is the one who did the woodwork for AI. But yeah, we work with both companies. There's some. That's the great thing is it's fun to see how much D&D has come out of the basement, so to speak, and it's socially acceptable to acknowledge that you like it, and then the satellite companies basically that have shown up to support it and fill in niches for gamers' needs, and even if they're just aesthetic, it's fantastic.
I've looked into the custom minifigs, and it's like, I would love this, but I don't know if I'm going to live long enough to if the character's just going to die as soon as I get it. Is that worth the investment?
Yeah, that's right.
Just make the character again with a different name or something.
It's his brother.
But we are pretty much out of time. Jeff, thank you so much.
That's a lot of fun.
I still have questions too.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
brimming. We'll see how badly your listeners tank after this one, and then if you still are up for more self-inflicted damage, you're welcome to give me another ring, and we can wax philosophic about Ack Inc., or I can give you behind-the-scenes Nintendo stories, or
oh my God, you're killing me.
Whatever we need, I don't mind chatting.
I want to talk about the pins.
That's the fun part of my job.
Yeah, we
talk about pins.
Yep. God damn it, we have to end, Alex. Oh well, at least it solidifies us getting to bother you again. But
yeah, no worries.
It was an absolute pleasure. Congrats on PAX West. Good luck on PAX Australia. Hopefully we'll see you in March, April, whenever PAX East is happening next. I'm sure you don't even want to think about that. But go, if you're not reading Penny Arcade, go read Penny Arcade. Watch Acquisitions Inc. on YouTube. Go to check out one of the live shows. All the old stuff is all on the internet. You can find it. I've literally been watching it all day in anticipation of this and making sure I was up on my shit.
No, I appreciate it.
But congrats, good luck. Thank you so much, man. It was a true pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, I guess that's going to do it against my what's the term I'm looking for? Against my will. I guess we have to end. But so until next week, I was JR.
I'm Alex.
I was Jeff.
And this has been episode 234 of Opinions May Vary.